All right, folks, this is a live look of the United States Senate where they are going to be voting for the 11th time on a bill that would reopen the government until November 21st. That's right, military pay has once again become a focal point as Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune aims to pressure Democrats to support the Trump-backed measure, which is part of the GOP's strict shutdown strategy. Now, the House, they're out of session again. Do y'all understand that the House has literally been out of session 72 of the last 84 days? They've worked 12 days. That's it, 12 days. 12 days. And Speaker Mike Johnson, it's not like he gives a damn. And so he keeps saying, well, no, we're in a pro forma session, and so we're not going to sit here and do any business until Democrats stop, stalling and while they reopen the government. But the reality is Democrats are standing firm on the issue of health care, and that's what's going on. And so what you got here is Mike Johnson, of course, who also refuses to seat the duly elected member of Congress from Arizona. Now, he was on ABC This Week on yesterday. John Carl pressed him on this, and then Johnson came up with another example. Oh, no, because, his reason keeps switching. Now he's trying to blame it on Nancy Pelosi. Listen to this idiot.
Are you going to swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva?
As soon as we get back to legislative session, when Chuck Schumer allows us to turn the lights back on.
Why haven't you done it already?
Because this is the way the institution works. I'm following the Pelosi precedent, by the way, when my dear friend from Louisiana, Julia Letlow, was elected to fill the seat of her deceased husband because of COVID. Nancy Pelosi took 25 days to swear her in. By the way,
are you saying? Let me stop you. Are you saying that Nancy Pelosi refused to swear her in earlier?
No, I'm saying that's my very point. This is the normal
my
process.
Understanding is that was the date that actually the representative-elect Letlow at the time requested. She had obviously her.
Okay, here's some more examples. Okay.
No, but wait a minute. You mentioned the Pelosi precedent, but Pelosi didn't delay that.
Let me give you more of the Pelosi precedent. Okay.
And what about the Johnson precedent? Because you swore in two Republicans the day after their election.
I'm happy to answer. Pelosi precedent. Pat Ryan, Joe Simplinsky. They were elected during an August recess. So 21 days later, when the House returned to regular legislative session, they were administered the oath. That's what we're doing. We're not in session right now. Rep. Grijalva was elected after the House was out of session. As soon as we return to legislative session, as soon as the Democrats decide to turn the lights back on so we can all get back here, I will administer the oath on the first day.
You could swear her in tomorrow, right?
No, not tomorrow. No, we couldn't. We wouldn't. There was an exception for 2 Floridians earlier in this Congress, but the reason was they were duly elected, they had a date set, they flew in all their friends and family, and the House went out of session.
So if she flies in friends and family, then
we don't have a date set. She was elected after.
Okay.
GPS.
Did y'all hear all that line? Did y'all hear the line? So it was, see, Pelosi did this here. Well, my bad. I'm sorry. I know Pelosi did it, but, well, okay. I got another example. It was sort of like, let's see. Okay, let me find another one. Find another one. Let me just throw another ball in the air. That's all he's doing. He's lying, y'all. He's lying. Johnson doesn't care. He's lying. And see, and now Republicans want to play this game of, so let's fund the military. So Democrats, we're going to blame you. Well, really? That's because, y'all are mad because the military people are now jumping on your ass because of what you've done. And so now they want to sit here and play games and say, well, let's at least fund the military. But I'm sorry, weren't y'all just, over here like not wanting to fund? So plus this thing is going to happen through November 21st. So that's just like, I don't know, 32 days. So what are we actually doing here? Now, you got to remember, this is the same person, Mike Johnson, who got slammed by the wife of a member of the military. He was on C-SPAN, and she called in. She lit his ass up. This is what she said.
Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have 2 medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves this country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. if we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get to get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military is getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes six figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right.
I want you to understand what happened here. She mixed a couple of things together. Okay, so she mixed military pay and she mixed health care credits. Now, this is what people need to understand. And this is why the right is getting nailed and they can't handle it, because they're getting killed on this issue of the health care subsidies. We've seen this go on. So check this out. Robert Rice, the former labor secretary, reposted this tweet from accountable.us. If Republicans in Congress don't extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, 5 million Americans lose health care, premiums soar for millions more, 340,000 jobs disappear. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? That's real, okay? And so this is what you have to understand, okay? So she's talking about pay, but the other issue has to do with the premiums that you were seeing. Rice also posted, let me find it right here, give me 1 second, where he talked about, again, these premiums and why they matter. And Republicans are fighting this. They hate the Affordable Care Act. They can't stand it, but they've never actually come up with their own health care plan. Trump was there for 4 years, nothing. 4 years of Biden, nothing. So, okay, what are y'all doing? Rice posted this: 10 million adults on the Affordable Care Act plans are self-employed or small business owners and employees. A restaurant owner in Virginia could see his monthly premium double, shooting up to $1,400 a month. Small businesses are the lifeblood of our communities, and Republicans are shafting them. Hello? See what I'm saying, y'all? See, this is what they don't want people to contend with. They don't want you to contend with this here, because when you start looking at the money, when you start looking at the numbers, these are the people that are being impacted. And so what the Republicans tried to do was, when they passed that big ugly bill, they shifted a lot of those costs to 2027 so it wouldn't impact the 2026 midterm elections. The problem is this little subsidy, it has to be dealt with right now. So people are getting notices as we speak regarding these healthcare premiums. And so when you start looking at the numbers, and I'm trying to find this other post that Rice posted, because it dealt with this couple in Idaho that will see their health care jump by $20,000. This, Omakongo, is what the real issue is. And I'm going to deal with this a little bit later. You know, Stephen A. was on CNN, Laura Coates saying Democrats don't have a strategy. I'm like, have you paid any attention? The fact of the matter is, Democrats have been waffling, national Democrats have been waffling for the last 9 months. They have finally hit on something that is resonating and is showing up in the polling data. It is the issue of health care. And here's what they're hitting. The reality is they are having to contend with the fact that polling numbers show that Republicans in these red states, a lot of poor people, a lot of small businesses are now realizing, oh yeah, they hate Obamacare, but damn, they love that Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, they do. You know, they're like, they loving saying Obamacare's now, because the fact of the matter is, this is one of the reasons why they don't want to come back, in addition to, of course, the Epstein files. And what we see right now with Mike Johnson, that interview was so powerful because it shows what happens when journalists do their research, which is why none of these guys will ever come on your show. So many of these other shows, they're just yes men and yes women. They're just like, But the way he called them out, he's showing that Republicans need to be on point as it relates to this, but they can't, because they have no health care plan. plan, and they just are so anti-Obama anything. And the fact that the Democrats have finally found their message and are sticking with it. You know, one of the talking points that the Republicans had was that the Democrats were going to agree to open up the government right after the No Kings rally ended. But yet here we are again into day 20 of the shutdown. And so the Democrats do have a strategy. Trump got over on saying waste, fraud, and abuse. They had their phrases, they had their catchphrases every single time. And now the Democrats have that as well. And these folks in these red states, you talked about the military and them not getting money or getting, money in a particular roundabout way. Same thing with the farmers, right? Who we've also talked about on this show and who are also pissed off. And even the money that that is supposed to bail them out, they can't even get now because of the shutdown. So if they're going to get something, it's going to take a little bit longer. This healthcare message has to stick. Everybody's talking about Democrats need to run on affordability. Yes, they're running on that, but this healthcare is connected to that because we're going to see so many challenges with our society right now. And these red state guys, they need to stop talking about, okay, they want to keep their health care, but not go against Trump. It's time that they put some skin in the game, and it's time that they get out there to rally, time to get out there to protest, get out there to call their Congress folks. All their Congress folks are home right now. What do you say, 72 out of the last 84 days? They're home right now. Roll up on their offices, call them up, get some skin in the game, and actually demand what you claim you love. Make them work.
Ashley?
It's unfortunate. This will be the last check that government workers get on Friday. So it's sad. And there's a source of mine in the office where they administer food stamps. And she said, I have never seen so many white Americans cry. I'm like, yeah, those red states in Wichita, Kansas, and Bubble F, Montana. I mean, it's insane. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about food. People, like she said, are living paycheck to paycheck. So they need to, open up, bring the house back. This is wild. 21 days is wild.
This is a tweet from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. She says, without key Affordable Care Act tax credits, a person making $65,000 a year in Tompkins County, New York, would pay close to $10,000 a year. This is the graph that she posts right here. So you see right here, you're talking about going from $2,337 to $9,675. See, it amazes me, these people who don't want to confront the reality, Congo, that subsidies matter. Now, Trump wants to give billions to farmers who are getting screwed by his dumbass tariffs because China ain't buying soybeans. They have no health care plan. They want to get rid of the subsidies, but health care is real. So they don't want to do health care for all. They don't want that. They want to get rid of the subsidies. Now they're sitting getting nailed. To me, this is where Democrats have to be hammering every single day on this.
Yes, and they also need to be taking your advice as well as Reverend Barber's advice and putting more people in the front like they did at one of the rallies, that they had last week. They need to have people out there to put real faces with these costs and what's actually going to happen. Imagine if that caller who called Mike Johnson, imagine if they found her and brought her in front of people to actually talk, or people like her to talk about what's happening. I mean, people are at home with children who are sick, elder members who are sick, and this is something that's going to be needed. And then the family that's just healthy but just can't afford it, period, bottom line. These stories need to be told, and these stories are all out on Instagram and TikTok and all in the social media spaces. These are people who are not hard to find. So this has to be the next step of the Democratic message, is putting more people in front who can speak to the real challenges that are happening right now, the small businesses, the individuals who are working in their communities, the hospitals that are going to close. Some have already started closing in rural areas as well as in city areas as well. There is a way to continue to dominate this message. And I love what Hakeem Jeffries and what others are saying, but they need to put more faces to it. And that's really going to be something that's going to drive the message home. And again, they need to go and do this in red states. Go to these guys' offices. These Republicans, they ain't even having town halls. Like, go to their offices, take people from West Virginia and all of these places, let them speak to it. And I believe that needs to be the next step to getting these Republicans back to the table.
About an hour ago, actually a couple of hours ago, Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries held a news conference, and this is what he had to say.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is day 20 of the Trump Republican shutdown, and Republicans have shown zero interest in reopening the government, enacting a bipartisan spending agreement that actually is designed to make life better for the American people, and address the healthcare crisis that Republicans have created that is devastating people all across America. Our position as Democrats remain clear in the House and in the Senate. We need to reopen the government, and we need to do that now. We need to find a bipartisan path toward enacting a spending agreement that actually is designed to make life better for the American people, as opposed to hurting everyday Americans. And we need to decisively address the Republican health care crisis that is crushing people all across the country. Working class America, rural America, urban America, the heartland of America, small town America, and black and brown communities all across America. The Republican health care crisis, as Marjorie Taylor Greene has repeatedly indicated, is real. And it's having devastating impacts that are becoming increasingly apparent to the American people. In Idaho, 100,000 Americans are at risk of losing their health care if the Affordable Care Act tax credits expire, because it will become unaffordable for them. In Georgia, Virginia, and Maryland, people are now finding out that their health insurance premiums are about to increase, in some instances, by more than $2,000 per month, for a total of $24,000 per year. No one can afford those types of increases. In Alabama, it's now clear that at least 50 rural hospitals are at risk of closing because of what Republicans have done in devastating Medicaid in their one big ugly bill. The Republican health care crisis is real. And every day that passes by without action, it gets even worse for hardworking American taxpayers. Questions?
Mr. Leader. Open enrollment, as you know, begins on November 1st. Once that date comes, will this fight for health care still be worth it?
If we don't address the Republican health care crisis in advance of open enrollment on November 1st, it will become even more apparent to everyday Americans why we need to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits. Because by that point, tens of millions of people across the country will realize that their health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles have skyrocketed beyond what's affordable because of Republican inaction.
So it wouldn't guarantee an end of the shutdown come November 1st?
It's certainly our hope that as the reality starts to sink in for so many Americans across the country, that because of the Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits for working class Americans, that their premiums, copays, and deductibles are going to increase by thousands of dollars per year, in some cases more than $20,000 a year. That action needs to be taken by the Congress now, as Democrats have been saying for the last several weeks.
If Senate Democrats walk away with a failed vote to extend the ACA subsidies, let's say a 60-vote threshold, and declare victory and vote for the clean CR, would that be a satisfactory outcome for you, your caucus, your voters?
House and Senate Democrats have been on the same page from the very beginning of the effort to try to fund the government, which is to make clear we need to cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Speaker Johnson held his press conference with Chip Roy, Andy Harris of the Freedom Caucus this morning. He said that Republicans were captive to the left. That's why you and Chuck Schumer were so supportive of the No Kings rally this weekend. I want to kind of get your sense of how do you see the Republican opposition to the ACA subsidies, which is something that the Freedom Caucus is leading on. Can you speak about that dynamic of them framing you all as captive to the left when the Freedom Caucus is kind of leading on their opposition to the extending the ACA subsidies?
The House Republicans are divorced from reality and have continued to function as nothing more than wholly owned subsidiaries of Donald Trump and his extreme administration. From the very beginning of this Congress, Republicans have done nothing to make life better for the American people. That's why the American people know overwhelmingly the country is heading in the wrong direction, and why Donald Trump's approval ratings are at rock bottom. Republicans promised that they were going to lower the high cost of living on day one.
I love promoting our delicious baked goods. Thanks to OptiSigns.
Hold tight 1 second. We're going to play the rest. Here we go. Here we go.
Electricity prices are through the roof. Housing costs too expensive. Childcare costs too expensive. Groceries too expensive. And now, because of Republican refusal to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits, tens of millions of Americans are about to experience these dramatically increased health care premiums such that they will be unable to see a doctor when they need one, when their children need one, or when their family needs one. Like, at the end of the day, this is about the health care of the American people. And this is about driving down the high cost of living. No matter what lies or disinformation Republicans continue to try to put out there in the public domain. The Republican argument coming from the House has changed every week. It literally has changed every week. Now it's because of the No King's Day, peaceful, patriotic, and powerful protest that occurred this weekend. In a few days, it'll be about something else. Democrats from the very beginning have been crystal clear and consistent. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
Do you see this shutdown ending in any way without Trump's involvement? Does he need to get involved?
Donald Trump definitively needs to get involved. He needs to get off the sidelines, get off the golf course, and actually decide to end the shutdown that he's created, that he has allowed to happen. We know that House and Senate Republicans don't do anything without getting permission from their boss, Donald J. Trump. And the reason why there have been no negotiations, zero negotiations, since Republicans shut the government down, is because Donald Trump clearly wants the government shut down. He wants to inflict pain on the American people. And this will not change until Donald Trump gives Republicans permission to sit down with Democrats. And as we've indicated, we are ready, willing, and able to sit down anytime, any place, with anyone here at the Capitol or back in the White House to try to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that actually improves the quality of life of the American people and addresses decisively the Republican health care crisis that is devastating people all across the country.
Mr. Lee, here's some interesting comments from the HFC, House Freedom Caucus today, that they would possibly be open to a subsidy extension if they got certain changes to health care policies like HSA expansion, or short-term plans. Is it a clean subsidy extension only for you, or are you open to some of these ideas at the Freedom Caucus and other places?
Well, our position has been that we are open certainly to anything bipartisan that emerges from the Senate in good faith that reopens the government, but at the same time decisively addresses the Republican health care crisis, which includes, but is not limited to, extending the Affordable Care Act tax credits, because that needs to be done with urgency, given the fact that open enrollment starts on November 1st. And all across the country right now, tens of millions of Americans are receiving notices that are shocking them in terms of the premiums, copays, and deductible increases that they are being forced to absorb because of Republican inaction.
Right there, Congo, you ride it, you hit 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 it, because whether folks like it or not, when you talk about health care, you're talking about it's impacting Republicans, Democrats, independents, voters, non-voters, black, white, gay, straight, Latino, Asian, Native American, it does not matter. And so Republicans have to be confronted on this issue. You have no health care plan, you have no fix, you're taking something away, you're not replacing with anything.
Yeah, I mean, he was hitting all the points, and no tie or anything. Looking a little bit more casual as well. He hit it, and he didn't let the questioners distract him from message. I have not seen a Democrat stay this on message in a very long time, and it's extremely powerful. And he kept, and you notice, look, we can sit here and talk about Epstein files and all this other type of stuff. He didn't go to any of that. He kept it strictly on the healthcare. And like I was saying, imagine if he had somebody else, some other people, average Americans who could come up there and speak to it. But it's not only the fact that he's driving this point home, all of the Democrats I've heard on the shows over the weekend, the last couple of days and all of that, they're all saying the same thing. And his ability to call out Trump and to make the Republicans look weak, saying y'all can't do anything unless Donald J. Trump gives you permission. These are all facts. I'm not looking at anything that he's saying in there that is a lie, that's manipulation, and people can't argue with them because at the end of the day, the Democrats are there, or here, I should say, they are in D.C. So when he says we're ready to meet, it's not about, oh, I'll fly down anytime. They are there in D.C. daily doing the work. The Republicans are nowhere to be found, and they need to continue to be called out. And the way he did it, I felt was masterful.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And I'm here with a very important message. We are at a turning point in the Black community where we must have equity in the apps we use that scale to billions of dollars. But this time, we own the infrastructure, we own the culture, and we shape the future. And Fanbase is the future. Fanbase combines the free functionality of Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube into an all-in-one platform built for the evolution of social media and monetization. With over 1.4 million users, that's real proof that we are shifting the conversation of tech ownership and equity for creators. So right now, I want you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. This marks a turning point in Black ownership of social media. If we don't take this opportunity to own social media right now, we will always be customers to our own creations. And that can't go on. So once again, go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. We must own the platforms where our voices live, our stories matter, and where our culture drives the world. Thank you.